Today is February 23rd. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps and 12 traditions. Today at the Big Book, we're going to continue more about Alcoholism, Chapter 3. We'll be reading page 43, I believe. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 6. We'll read page 65. And of course, we'll read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope you all are doing well this morning, my friends. Life is good over here. I do apologize. I am doing some laundry. The dryer's going in the background, so if that sneaks into the audio, I apologize. And also, I got a lesson in humility yesterday. Expectations, right? Oh, I was so excited that we were going to get some snow, and now it looks like it's going to completely miss us. We might get a little bit of ice, and I was like, oh, man. But it's okay. It's okay. You know why? Because I woke up sober today. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So out of the big book yesterday, we concluded Fred's story here. And you know, I started thinking about it yesterday. And it's interesting how everything's presented in this chapter. So you get the retiree, and they explain the progressive illness in that sense. Actually, even before that, they talk about how the mental obsession is the crux of the problem, right? So then we get the demonstration of the retiree, and then we hear about Jim relapsing several times, and then he recounts everything, right? And you can see the exact moment where the insanity takes over, right? The believing the lie. And then you get the jaywalker, and that sounds crazy too, right? But if you substitute jaywalking for alcohol, that describes me perfectly. Finally, we get Fred's story, right? And he has that mental obsession, and they talked about how willpower and self-knowledge would not help in those strange mental blank spots. However, when he comes back, he finds the solution right here. So at the bottom, page 42, in what we read yesterday, quite as important was the discovery that his spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I have since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying, and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. And I love a little later. I would not exchange its best moments in drinking for the worst I have now. I would not go back to it even if I could. So finally, out of the fourth story, we get a happy ending. And I just think that's beautiful. And it kind of proves, okay, there is a solution here. And we're about to get to that solution here in a couple of chapters, specific steps to get to that solution. But great stuff, great stuff. So we're going to go ahead and finish off the chapter more about alcoholism today. We're on 43. Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home to thousands like him. He had felt only the first nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with our conclusions. One of these men, staff member of a world-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to some of us. What you say about the general hopelessness of the average alcoholic's plight is, in my opinion, correct. As the two of you men whose stories I have heard, there is no doubt in my mind that you are 100% hopeless, apart from divine help. Had you offered yourselves as patients at this hospital, I would not have taken you, if I'd been able to avoid it. People like you are too heartbreaking. Though not a religious person, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there is virtually no other solution. Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink. Except in a few rare cases, neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Page 65. It is nowhere evident, at least in this life, that our Creator expects us to fully eliminate our instinctual drives. So far as we know, it is nowhere on record that God has completely removed from any human being all his natural drives. Since most of us are born with an abundance of natural desires, it isn't strange that we often let these far exceed their intended purpose. When they drive us blindly, or we willfully demand that they supply us more satisfactions or pleasures than are possible or due us, that is the point at which we depart from the degree of perfection that God wishes for us here on earth. That is the measure of our character defects, or if you wish, our sins. If we ask, God will certainly forgive our derelictions, but in no case does he render us white as snow and keep us that way without our cooperation. That is something that we are supposed to be willing to work toward ourselves. He asks only that we try as best we know how to make progress in the building of character. So step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character, is AA's way of stating the best possible attitude one can take in order to make a beginning on this lifetime job. This does not mean that we expect all of our character defects to be lifted out of us as the drive to drink was. A few of them may be, but with most of them, we shall have to be content with patient improvement. The key words entirely ready underline the fact that we want to aim at the very best we know or can learn. How many of us have this degree of readiness? In an absolute sense, practically nobody has it. The best we can do with all the honesty that we can summon is to try to have it. Even then, the best of us will discover to our dismay that there is always a sticking point, a point at which we say, "No, I can't give this up yet." And we shall often tread on even more dangerous ground when we cry, "This I'll never give up." Such is the power of our instincts to overreach themselves. No matter how far we have progressed, desires will always be found which oppose the grace of God. "24 hours a day, February 23rd. AA thought for the day. Besides our jobs, our families, our friends, and our sobriety, we have something else that many of us found through AA. That's faith in a power greater than ourselves, to which we can turn for help. Faith in that divine principle in the universe which we call God, and which is on our side as long as we do the right thing. There have been many days in the past when, if we'd taken an inventory, we'd found ourselves very much in the red, without sobriety, and therefore without jobs, families, friends, or faith in God. We now have these things because we're sober. Do I make one resolution every day of my life to stay sober? Meditation for the day. Love the busy life. It is a joy-filled life. Take your fill of joy in the spring. Live outdoors whenever possible. Sun and air are nature's great healing forces. That inward joy changes poison blood into pure, healthy, life-giving flow. But never forget that the real healing of the spirit comes from within, from the close, loving contact of your spirit with God's Spirit. Keep in close communion with God's Spirit day by day. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may learn to live the abundant life. I pray that I may enjoy a close contact with God this day and be glad in it. Daily Reflection, February 23rd. Mysterious Paradoxes. Such is the paradox of AA regeneration, strength arising out of complete defeat and weakness, the loss of one's old life as a condition for finding a new one. AA Comes of Age, page 46. What glorious mysteries paradoxes are. They do not compute, yet when recognized and accepted, they reaffirm something in the universe beyond human logic. When I face a fear, I'm given courage. When I support a brother or sister, my capacity to love myself is increased. When I accept pain as part of the growing experience of life, I realize a greater happiness. When I look at my dark side, I am brought into a new light. When I accept my vulnerabilities and surrender to a higher power, I am graced with an unforeseen strength. I stumbled through the doors of AA in disgrace, expecting nothing from life. And I have been given hope and dignity. Miraculously, the only way to keep the gifts of the program is to pass them on. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading. And oh man, I love that daily reflection. And of course, I love it all. It's great stuff. But yeah, talking about paradoxes, right? I had no idea all the things I would gain. I just thought sobriety was not drinking. And, I had no idea when my sponsor told me, because I'd always thank him for taking the time to help me. And I to this day, I'm so appreciative of him taking that time and breaking things down in a way that even I can understand. Even a caveman could do it, right? But he would always say, "You're helping me more than I'm helping you." And I didn't quite get that until I started doing more service work. And then I realized he's right. And I didn't understand that I could gain victory and peace and joy and happiness by surrendering. Step one. Oh my gosh, my life's unmanageable. I can't control this alcohol thing. I'm powerless over it. When I finally admitted that, well, the victory was that through the steps and time and grace and patience from a higher power, I'm changing and I'm happy and I'm sober and free and grinning from ear to ear at 3:46 in the morning. And then real quick, going to the 12 and 12. Oh my gosh, step 6 scared me. Probably more than any step, honestly, because I thought to myself, how in the world am I going to be entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character? Entirely ready. I can't. I got some problems, But I love the clarification that we hear on page 65. Okay, here it is. If we ask, God will certainly forgive our derelictions. But in no case he renders us white as snow and keeps us that way without our cooperation. That is something we're supposed to be willing to work on ourselves. He asks only that we try as best we know how to make progress in the building of character. When I read that gives me so much hope. I'm like, oh, thank God. But that we're willing to try to change. And somebody explained to me one time, these steps are perfect ideals. But aside from step 1, we're not going to get every step absolutely perfectly right. But if we're willing to keep growing and willing to keep working at it and striving toward that ideal, there will be progress made. And I love a little further down here, it says, step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character, is AA's way of stating the best possible attitude one can take in order to make a beginning on this lifetime job. And then a little further down, few of them may be, but most of them will have to be content with patient improvement. So you know what that tells me? This is going to take some time. I've used this illustration many times, but my sister and I, when we were kids, we loved to be outside. I loved to be out in the woods, and we would make these little paths through the woods. And it was kind of cool. In Jersey, we'd cut through the woods, and eventually we get to this parking lot in Best Buy, and then eventually the Deptford Mall and everything else. But when you're first making a path, right? You're getting cut up and everything, and you're having to crunch down on all these sticks and remove stuff, and it's hard. It's hard work. But the more you go down that path, the more it starts to wear in. And that new path becomes easier, right? Well, that's kind of how the steps have been for me. The more I do it, even though at first it feels very unnatural, the more I do it, the easier it becomes. And sometimes going down that path, I'm still gonna trip. I might still be crawling at some points. But if I stop and I look back at my life, or I look back at that path that I've begun, even when I was crawling, I look back and I see the progress in my life. And I thank my higher power for all of that. But step 6, as it says in the 12 and 12, that's a lifetime step. But they did say on the next page, we get into trouble when we say, oh, I'll never give that up. I'll never have victory over that. Like that's going to just be something I struggle with for the rest of my life. Maybe not. Keeping that open mind and keep working at it. I will never doubt the immense power of the God of my understanding. Maybe one day I will have complete victory over that 7 deadly sin, whatever it might be. As long as we work at it, we're willing, we keep an open mind and just keep moving forward. We'll see all the progress. But anyway, my friend, I have rambled on way over. I hope you all have a great one today. If you're sober, you're a miracle, and I hope you realize that. And those who love you are very proud of you. And your sobriety is a gift to all those around you. And you have that superpower, right? That radioactive superpower to help the next suffering alcoholic, or just anyone else for that matter, or when you carry the message. And if you're not sober today, I hope you know that you're a miracle and you are worthy of recovery. And I pray that you get the help that you need today and you don't have to do it alone. But as always, guys, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect. I am just a drunk, a grateful, recovering alcoholic, honored to be here today. And if we are given another set of 24 hours, ice or snow or anything in between, I hope to see you right back here tomorrow.